Hello, good people. Welcome back. We have a very special guest on the channel today. We have Lady Command Knight, who just finished in the top 8 of the GOAT Format Championship Tournament with none other than Fairies. This is a deck that we haven't seen have a whole lot of success recently, but I've talked about the Agent of Creation Venus a little bit, and I feel like this card is quite underrated. Just the ability to pay, 1,000 life points in this case, get a couple of mystical shine balls from your deck to the field for a lot of field presence and quite a bit of damage early on. And, it thins out the deck. I feel like this card has to have some sort of potential. So I'm glad to see that it got a really good finish in a tournament. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Lady Command Knight. Go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about the deck for us.
Awesome. Thank you, Kuhb. Thanks for having me. Hi, people. I'm Lady Command Knight. I've been playing GOAT format for about 2 years now, and I've played a wide variety of decks on ladder. But this is a deck I've been working on for a better part of a year, I'd say almost a year and a half. This GFC was my first online GOAT format tournament, other than a couple GOAT format Fridays I did last summer. I just generally don't have a lot of time to play, and being in the Pacific time zone makes it difficult to get to certain tournaments. I actually took a different version of this deck to GGP Seattle last year. I went with my girlfriend who also plays. She has a really cool Sacred Phoenix deck. And we had a pretty decent run at GGP Seattle last year. Didn't top, but it was a lot of fun. So if you went to that event last year and you remember seeing a Venus deck or hearing about a Venus deck, that was me. Before I talk about the deck and the tournament, I want to give a couple shout outs. First to my friend Alderoth. He is a really great player, certified Spice Lord. He's working, he has some very unique and I think some really interesting ideas about a lot of different decks. Right now he's working on a wind aggro deck, focusing on Lady Ninja Yay. And he's the one that convinced me to play in the GFC this past weekend. It's funny because he caught me on a Friday, the Friday afternoon, and was like, hey, I'm going to play this tournament. It's free. You should play. And I was just kind of like, I've been wanting to play a major GOAT event at some point, and I finally had a free weekend, so I said, why not? And it's funny because I've been really busy the past couple months with work, and I don't think I've played consistently on ladder for months. And so Friday night, I opened up my deck list. I made a couple changes to the main, couple changes to the side, played like less than 10 matches on ladder, and said, all right, that's my warm up for tomorrow. And again, I mentioned being in Pacific time zones, which that meant that the tournament started at 8 a.m. Saturday morning. And I am used to going to bed around 1 a.m. and waking up around 10.
Yep.
So even, you know what I mean. So even with my best efforts, I got maybe 4 hours of sleep Saturday night, woke up, got ready, and just went into the tournament. And all this, again, I started this as a shout out to my friend. He didn't do as well as he wanted to do, but he watched the rest of my matches and was cheering me on, really hyping me up, which was really cool. He actually sent us some pizza to celebrate Saturday, me making the top cut. So that was really cool. So big shout out to him. Maybe he'll make some kind of splash with his wind deck or one of the other decks he's working on at some point. The other shout out I want to give is to Grace. He has his own channel where he shows off a Venus deck of his own that he topped with in 2023 at a PWCQ. And that was really unique in that it was a all light monster deck with Venus as like the main engine with Cyborg and creature swaps and things like that. And I remember when I saw that JDZ's video about the deck, that got me really interested. And then I went to Grace's channel, and he not only had, a video about that deck and that tournament, but he made other videos about Venus, different ideas, different gameplay. And that just kind of got my brain working at the time where I started working on this. So again, check out Grace's channel, check out his videos. If it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have even really looked at this card because like you mentioned, Kuhb, Venus is just it's such a unique card because it's one of the very few cards in GOAT format that can actually summon monsters from the deck. But I don't think anybody before Grace, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think anybody has made a top before him. So it just wasn't even on my radar prior to that.
Grace is a good dude for sure. I will absolutely have the link to his channel down in the description. So yeah, everybody definitely check out his channel.
Awesome. So yeah, as far as the deck, just kind of looking over, you mentioned field presence is Venus's like greatest advantage, and that's exactly what I'm going for in this deck. The version of this deck that I took to the Seattle GGP, and a version that I kind of stalled out on for a while, was I initially tried to use Venus as kind of like an alternative to Thunder Dragon, if that makes sense. Whereas, you play Turbo, you drop a Thunder Dragon, get 2 in your hand, and then you can use that for your Graceful or fuel your discard traps. I kind of view this as, well, I could put in a few more slots, and instead of getting 2 cards in my hand, I get 2 cards on my field that I can deck thin with, and then maybe tribute off or swap them off. So the older version of this deck that I played with last year had like 2 Upstart, a second Moth, it had a Serpent, main deck Dust Shoots. It was a lot slower and a lot less aggressive. And I played that for a long time until I finally took another look at this deck and was like, I think that focusing instead on trying to generate hand advantage or to, salvage hand advantage with things like Upstarts and a Serpent and things like that, what I should focus on in this deck is keeping bodies on the field and getting in a lot of damage quickly. So what I have, obviously, I think the best ratio if you're going to play Venus is 3-2. You never want to draw Shine Balls. It does happen. If you draw 1, it's not the end of the world. You can toss it to Duo or Graceful or Tribe, or, I've baited Nox with them multiple times, baited Mind Cons. So drawing 1 is not that bad. I have played duels where I've drawn both and still won, but it's really an uphill battle because in your hand, it's basically like time walking yourself. It's like a skip turn if you draw it.
Yep.
But 2 of those balls, and then for Venus, you really want to see her in your opening hand because you want to get the Shine Balls out immediately and you want to get your bodies on your field immediately. One advantage with this deck that I've learned through playing with it is because you have the 3 Venus, and they're all 3-star 1600. So if you ever run into a burn deck or anything running floodgates, you don't really have to worry about that. You've got 5 monsters that attack under it fairly easily, and Venus with 2 Shine Balls is 2600 damage. I've won games against burn just by smacking them with Venus and Shine Balls over and over. And then, of course, the balls, the Shine Balls work really well with Zaborg, and against any deck, really. Zaborg is just such a powerful monster, but what it really is good at is breaking turbo boards. A lot of times you'll run into a situation with Chaos Turbo where they'll have a Sork, usually in defense, and then they'll have a set monster, and being able to just pop the set, run over the Sork, and now you've gone, instead of going, 2 for 1 or 2 for 2 with the tribute, if you tributed a Shine Ball you got for 500 life points out of your deck, you're just way up.
Sure.
Let me see here. I was going to mention the other thing with the Venus is, like, after the first one, the other 2 copies, some people might think, like, well, after you use this effect, the other 2 are just kind of useless, but it's a pretty decent body. There have been games where I've just won with attacking with Venus. Again, you're just thinking about like playing against Turbo. Unless they have Sork or BLS out, all their monsters are 1600 or less attack wise. So you can beat over, you could, trade with a tribe, you could beat over a spy, things like that. Outside of the Venus package, I have a couple other, what I like to call like sticky monsters. I've got the Spirit Reaper, another good aggressive option if you have spots where you can attack, rip a card out of the hand, sticks around for Zaborg. It's a dark. I have just the 2 spies in the deck, and folks might look at this and say, well, you've got a Mind Con, why aren't you running the 3, or that you should only run spy at 3. Initially, the older version of this deck, I had either 20 or 21 monsters, and so I kind of really didn't have a lot of space, so I just stuck with the 2 spies. And as I've tested different things and trimmed down the monster count, I still feel like 2 is really all you need. I don't need spy to resolve, to stall out, or wall up, because I have the Shine Balls, I have the Reaper, I have other monsters that are hard to get over. And a lot of the times when I set spy, I'm hoping it'll get knocked, because then probably my opponent will lose 2 or 3 of theirs, and then I don't have to worry about it. I also have the DD Warrior Lady, which might seem like an odd choice. This is just one of my favorite cards, but I used to have it in the side to bring in against like Warriors or Earth Aggro or other decks, just that I needed a bit more of a threat. But I found that it's a really good card to have in the main in this deck because it demands an answer. Like, yeah, maybe sometimes your opponent will run it over with Breaker or Snatch or something, but a lot of the times it'll eat a Battle Trap, it'll eat, Sork coming out and banishing it. And occasionally you do remove something good. Like, match I had against AJT in top 16 was amazing. I didn't pick that as one of the replays I wanted to possibly go over because I didn't really do a lot with Venus specifically in those matches. I just kind of drew really well, and I got Kaiku in early and things like that. But one of the things that I did in that match was I rammed DD Warrior Lady into his BLS. It just took it out of the game, which that's an incredible change. Otherwise, I was basically had no answer. Mm-hmm. The other thing that's great about DD Warrior Lady is it's something I can grab off Sangan that's aggressive. I don't have a ton of targets for Sangan, but it's something I can grab so that I can just summon an attack, and it's another light I can grab if I don't want to grab the Moth for whatever reason. And I just play the 1 Moth now, kind of similar of thinking as like why Warriors only play 1. If I resolve it and I grab back a Trinity piece or a Heavy Storm or something, it's really impactful. And if it gets knocked, it removes the opponent's, or if I don't see it, it's not really that big of a deal. Obviously, Tribe and Breaker, staples, not much to say there. The Kaikus are another more recent addition with this deck, or not super recent because I did have them in the previous version, but I wanted some darks that weren't easily removed from the game. In a deck like this, you worry less about having a light, you worry more about having a dark. So as opposed to playing like a couple decos or like a third spy or things like that, I wanted a dark that wasn't necessarily going to get knocked, something that pushed aggression, and like DD Warrior Lady and like Zaborg and a lot of these other monsters, it demands an answer. And the other thing is, like with Kaiku, if you can get it in early, especially after your opponent has pitched like Thunder Dragons or things like that, it can just lock out the game. Mm-hmm. I had multiple games throughout my tournament, especially thinking my first duel against AJT, were just getting the Kaiku out and banishing a couple monsters every turn, just locked it down completely. And then, of course, last cards in the monster lineup are just BLS and Sork. I don't think you need a second Sork. I don't think you can really support it. I'm happy with both.
That's fair.
Yeah. As far as the rest of the deck goes, I've got pretty standard spell lineup, lots of staples. The outliers are the Minecon. I've been playing one Minecon main in this deck for a while. I think just, especially if you're going into a tournament, there's just so much turbo out there. And you want to be getting at attacks early, and you want to be, getting monsters out of the way for Kaiku and Reaper, and, making sure opposing faiths don't resolve, things like that. I think the one Mind Control in the main as a hedge against turbo was a good bet. Mm-hmm. I try to, I don't throw it out against the first thing I see. A lot of times I'll hold it. And a couple of times, I stole them off or things like that, or move something out of the way for Reaper. I think it's really versatile. And if I play against an aggro deck, which I did play against 3 in my tournament run, it's easy sided out, so it's not a big deal. The Premature has next to it. This has gotten a lot better as I've changed the monster lineup. Initially, it was basically just to maybe get back a tribute or something to tribute for Zaborg, maybe get back like a Kaiku. But as I've gotten a much more aggressive lineup, this is often will just win you the game. Get in pull back something for extra damage, get something to tribute for Zaborg. If they destroy one of your chaos monsters with like a torrential or a ring, you can just bring it back. It's such a flexible card, and it's very rarely dead, so I think it's a staple in this deck for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last thing is the Smashing Ground. This was I've put this in here before. I've also, in this spot, I've had like Book of Moon, I've had Creature Swap, I've had a second Minecon. This was kind of like just a last minute tweak I made to the deck, just kind of hedging my bets where, you know, if I faced an aggro, a more aggressive deck, you know, game one, I'd have something that wouldn't be completely dead, or maybe if they've got like a Reaper or a Spy or something to get over, it's another answer. Just a flex slot. And then the trap lineup, I've also, out of, you know, monster spells, traps, the trap lineup has changed the most throughout me playing this deck. So I mentioned when I went to GGP Seattle and played this kind of deck, it was a lot more focused on draw power. Like I had 2 upstarts along with the jars, and I also had the main deck, Dust Shoots. But, you know, as I mentioned, you know, kind of shifting this to a more aggressive style of deck, I realized that, you know, I want to, not only do I want to be attacking more often and attacking earlier, but I want to be protecting my monsters. Nothing feels worse than you do the work to get out a Zaborg and then your opponent drops Tsukuyomi next turn, you know,
Yeah.
or they snatch your Kaiku or something like that. So I added in the 2 Sakus, well, you know, with that kind of, those scenarios in mind, and those have been really great for protecting my plays and just clearing the way for damage. I still like the 2 jar. I really feel like, especially once you get the shine balls out, it's good to have a little bit of draw power in the deck so you can dig for answers. I think with having Upstart, you know, you do have the advantage of seeing that card 1 turn earlier, but it's hard to do 10,000 damage as opposed to 8,000 damage.
Mm-hmm.
And this deck can't necessarily, you know, do something like Turbo can, where you wait until you've got a BLS and a Sork and 2 Spies or whatever, and just go all in. Sometimes you have to go all in with Venus and Shine Balls, or a Zaborg and a Sork or something. So it's a little bit slower, but I think that it's worth saving the life points there. So I'm really happy with the jars. The 2 Solemns were also a newer addition, super great. I originally had it at 3, but between 3 Solemn, Duo, Premature, and then Venus, which, you know, ideally you always want to resolve Venus, hopefully early, I just felt like I was spending way too many life points. I might at some point test a 3rd in the side, or maybe cut the Smashing Ground or Dust Tornado for the 3rd Judgment and try that instead. But this was a great card. There were times throughout the tournament where I definitely didn't use it optimally, but there were also times where it won me the game. So, again, just kind of going back to that idea, if you want to preserve your plays, you know, I want to make sure my Kaiku gets through. I want to keep my Zaborg on the board. I want to make sure my, you know, Venus and Shine Balls get torrential, things like that. And rather than trying to play around those things or wait for a heavy storm, now I have ways to just push through. And then last slot was just Dust Tornado. Again, I just didn't want to do the 3 Solemns, so I figured, well, I'll just do Dust Tornado. Maybe I can snipe, you know, opposing battle traps or a Dust Shoot or something. And it put in a decent amount of work. As far as, like, you know, what would I change in this list? The only 2 flex spots I really feel like I want to test with is the Smashing and the Dust, but both of them were decent cards over the weekend. So going through the side deck, the side deck probably looks a little strange. There are some things in there that I'm very impressed with that I will keep. Other things where I'm still testing or might just take out entirely. For the longest time, I had 2 Zombira in the side for Warrior, Earth Aggro, things like that. But playing on ladder, I ran into so many scenarios where I top deck Zombira on an empty field, or basically an empty field, and it just has to sit there. And this deck doesn't necessarily need something to sit there for a while, especially when I side out Monarchs against aggro decks generally anyway. So I swapped to the 2 Giant Orc. You know, it's a dark, it's a little bigger than Zambira. And yeah, it can only really attack once, but sometimes it's all you need. And I had 2 matches my tournament run where this card won me the game. So I was very impressed with that.
Yeah. We love the dork here on this channel.
Good. I'm becoming a fan. The Mobius is for burn. Maybe I would side it in occasionally if I was expecting a lot of battle traps. I didn't face any burn. I don't think I brought it in during the tournament at all, but I'm pretty fine with swapping as a Borg for a Mobius, or if it's against burn where a lot of my monsters are going to stick around, I'll usually swap out the Reaper for this because Reaper just gets punished so bad by Panda. But between Spy and Venus, I have so many bodies I can afford 3 tributes, so I always keep that in. The Tsukiyomi was another just kind of last minute something against warriors or Earth aggro. I brought it, or also just like kind of maybe to take out Tear against like control decks. I brought it in a few times. One of my matches was against Gumo Sumo, and it actually helped a lot because the Spider has no defense either. I'm not sure if I would keep the Sukin, but it did kind of what I wanted to do. I just didn't see it very often when I did bring it in.
Sure.
For the spells, Book is, just against control, have something to side in if I'm playing against a Decree deck, which I did play one, so I was glad that I had that, because I do play a lot of traps. The swords, I was really happy with. Again, just against aggressive decks is kind of what a lot of my side deck slots go to. And that did its job. I think that's a good one. The walk, of course, is for burn. Didn't face any, but good to have. At the very least, you can clear out an Ajama token. Running stuff like Zaborg and Venus and Spy that all have decent stat lines makes walk really good. Can save you, of course. So the last couple spells in here, the 2 token Thanksgivings, I kind of was really tight on side deck space because I wanted to cover a variety of matchups, and I thought, well, these can clear goats, they can clear Ojama tokens. Maybe I could bring them in against Reasoning Gate if they, go off with some goats and I can clear them before they start monster gating or whatever. I think it's an okay card. I don't know if I need both. If I keep it, I might just get one. I didn't really see it, and I only had like really 2 opportunities to side it anyway. So it's a side deck card that I kind of go back and forth on. Sometimes I think it's really good, and sometimes I think it's kind of a blank. The Vortex was kind of to have something against Reasoning Gate. I was thinking about Jaugen, but I do a decent amount of special summoning with the Venus and the Chaos Monsters and Prima. I didn't want to lock myself out of that stuff. I was thinking about maybe a Threatening Roar, but I already run so many traps, I decided to go with this. I didn't use it at all. The last spell there, I'm sure you probably have some questions about, is Soul Release. I know that it's a very unusual card.
I see this one around from time to time. I don't think it's not a popular side deck option. I don't think it's way out there though.
That's fair. So funny story about this card. So as I mentioned, I did GGP Seattle last year with my girlfriend, and she plays Sacred Phoenix, and she is a huge proponent of this card against Turbo. And she actually mained one in her deck last year and sided a couple more. And sometimes it could just go absolutely insane and just basically lock Turbo out of the game forever. And I told her, of course, that I was playing in this tournament, and she saw me messing with the side deck, and she says, if you don't put at least one Soul Release in your side deck, I'm going to judge you.
Gotta add the Soul Release.
I was like, okay, we'll put the Soul Release in. We'll see how it does. I mean, I've tested it before. I'm not as I really don't think you need more than one copy if you're going to play it. But I decided to try it, and it actually did have a decent amount of success for me this tournament. So I'm going to keep it for now and just keep testing it. If you play it at the right time, you can really do some crazy things to Turbo, especially like locking out their Trinity pieces or other cards like that they might recur with Faith. So,
Yep.
and then lastly, the traps are pretty straightforward. Just the 2 dust shoots, bring in for turbo, obviously, especially going first, and then the Saku and widespread, just extra battle traps.
All right. I know you mentioned that you would play around with maybe a couple of slots in the main and maybe change some stuff on the side. But past that, I do have a few questions written down here. You did answer some of them, like I thought you would already in the deck profile. But I think the burning question that is going to be at the front of everyone's mind here is, where is the Command Knight?
Oh, that's great.
I see a warrior. I see a warrior right here.
You're right. She could be a 1900.
That's right.
Oh, that's great. She is my favorite card, so it's a fair question. Maybe someday I can make her work in a deck, but I haven't figured it out yet, but I'll give it a try.
Yep. If only she wasn't a fire and was like a light or a dark, or maybe like even an earth. Maybe I feel like that card might actually be a whole lot better.
Definitely.
But jokes aside, of course, what drew you to actually playing Fairies? I know you said you'd watched some of Grace's videos and stuff like that, but did anything else draw you to playing the deck in the first place?
That's a great question. So I think for me, it's a combination of Grace's video just gave me a lot of ideas that I hadn't really explored. Before that, I was mostly playing like zombies and I was playing like a water deck for a while, things like that. I like to just try different things and put my own spin on them, or just try to find a way to make them work. But I think it was the combination of that video and just like rediscovering my love for Zaborg. I played, technically it wasn't obviously called GOAT format back then, but I played in the early 2000s, and I remember pulling a Zaborg from an Ancient Sanctuary pack and just being like, wow, this card is crazy. And I just had the one, and I tried to fit it in any deck that I could. I just love that card. So when I came back to the game, I noticed that tributes weren't really, that popular. Most decks didn't run any, or you'd see like, Jinzo and DMOC and Reasoning Gate or things like that. And, it just was kind of an inspiration of like, oh, this might be a way to make Zaborg work, and not only make like one Zaborg work, but make two. Make this really powerful monarch that can just break a board and start punching in. That it can support it. Because, like I mentioned, trying so many different iterations of this deck, I've tried, with Shining Angels and Tomatoes and things like that. And I don't know if it's just my luck or just recruiters in general. I just almost never get those things to resolve and stick to the board. But a deck like this, I can get Zaborg out pretty consistently. That's not to say that I never brick on it or that I sometimes draw both. That does happen. But just the consistency of having that field presence where you can get this really powerful monster out and do some major damage. That really, I think, was one of the driving factors for me to keep playing this deck and to try and find a way that works with it.
Yeah, actually, we've been seeing quite a few more Zaborgs recently pop up in the meta with Return doing well recently. So yeah, maybe this deck is just part of the Zaborg revolution.
Maybe.
Yeah, you did mention in Grace's video that he was playing all light monsters, and I have played around with that deck too. I think it's really sweet. But what drew you to playing the Chaos version of the deck rather than going a different way?
I think the easiest answer is that Chaos has such a higher ceiling. BLS might as well have you win the game printed on him.
Yeah, BLS
not
good.
always, but yeah, BLS good. Sork, not as, game winning necessarily, but also very good. So there's a higher ceiling with that. And also, if I play Chaos, I can play more good monsters that are dark. Grace's light deck had a lot of good cards with like Freed and Blade Knight, Sasuke, like he was able to support like a warrior package, things like that. So it's not like, you can't only, or you have to play darks for this to be like a good setup. But because I can play darks, I can play Breaker, I can play Spies, I can play Kaiku, I can play Sangan, Reaper. Like these are all just really great cards to have in a deck, and especially good cards to support Zaborg. So it's like, okay, well, if I want to have Spies and I want to have a Reaper and I want to have a Sangan, I'm already up to 4 darks already. You know what? Why not just throw in a couple and just go full on Chaos with it?
Sure. No, that makes That makes perfect sense to me. A card that you did touch on briefly was Creature Swap. You said you'd had it in the deck before. Obviously, Mystic Shine Ball being a level 2 is not ideal because you can't like abuse it in with like Metamorphosis or something like that. Venus would absolutely be played if this was a level 1. Let's be real.
Oh yeah.
But you do commonly see people playing creature swaps as a way to abuse this card. So what made you go away from the creature swap in the deck?
Well, it's interesting because Grace has a video where he plays like the same ratio of shine balls to Venus. And then he plays basically his Chaos Venus video, just to simplify. He plays 2 swap in there. But he doesn't honestly have a ton of great targets for swap other than the balls and I guess like a Sangan or a spent Magician of Faith. And so when I tried testing it, I initially had like a second Magician of Faith and a Serpent and things like that. With 2 swap, I felt like I saw it too often with nothing to go with it. And then with 1 swap, I saw it even less. And even if I did have a good target, like I had a ball I could just change to attack and swap over, or a Sangan, it wasn't super impactful. I think if you wanted to go the route of playing swap in this, swap with Venus, you would need to have better targets than just the 2 balls and maybe like a Sangan or Serpent. I think you would maybe need to go like a goat control route and also have scapegoat tokens or maybe something like that. Because one of the downsides of swap is like if you only are trying to swap over 1 monster and they just ring your tomato or Regeki break your shining angel or whatever, you've just lost so much advantage. So I think that if you want to go kind of more of a swap control route with this, you would need to add goat tokens or something else where you have multiple monsters to pick from, and that way you don't just get destroyed by a single response to the swap.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. I got one more question. We started it with a spicy question. We're going to end it with a spicy question. One more way to abuse Mystical Shine Ball. What are your opinions on potential Robin Goblin in this deck?
I saw your video with Nova Ethos about the Robin Goblin, and it kind of went through my mind, honestly, because you have a lot of really decent beaters in this deck. And if you get out Shine Ball and Venus into an empty field and then activate Robin Goblin, if they can't stop that attack, the game is over. Yep. So yeah, I would totally be open to trying that. I think that could actually, with the right setup, work really well.
I'll never forget. We're just going to shout out everybody in this video. I guess shout outs to Petty. I watched him play a Venus deck with 3 Shine Balls. So he activates Venus, gets a +3 to bring out 3 Shine Balls, flips up 2 Robin Goblins, and gets a direct attack in with all 3 Shine Balls. And it's a +9.
Oh my god.
So I had to bring up the Robin Goblin just because it's been...
it's insane.
Yeah, that card's been a little fresh in my mind. It's definitely not the best card in GOAT format, but it is a cool one. And I do love to see Mystical Shine Ball ripping cards out of the hand as well. So...
nobody expects the robbing Mystical Shine Ball.
Right. It's supposed to be a force for good, just hanging out up there in the clouds, but no, it is a force for evil, ripping cards out of the
Exactly.
All right, those are all my questions. Did you have anything else to say about the deck before we jump into a replay?
I think I covered it pretty extensively, so if you don't have any more questions, we can jump to the replays. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we can go ahead and get into that.
Okay, so this was my round 3. They were on Chaos Turbo. So I really wanted to showcase with these replays, or just this replay if we only have time for one, Venus specifically, what she can do and how the deck plays against Turbo.
Okay. How do you feel about your Turbo matchup? We didn't really touch on individual matchups in the deck profile.
Right. So Turbo, I feel pretty good about it. I don't want to speculate and say I have X win percentage against Turbo or whatever. But I feel like if I have a decent hand and I'm able to get some attacks in early, I have a pretty good chance. Obviously this hand, if you go ahead and draw my next card, is busted.
I was gonna say this hand's already good. We've got the Venus, a Pot of Greed, and a Solemn Judgment. But all right, okay, yeah.
This is pretty busted. But yeah, seeing Venus opening hand is just fantastic. So yeah, we can just go ahead, obviously duo for info first.
Yeah, absolutely. That was interesting. I thought you clicked on the tribe, but then maybe you clicked on the.
Yeah. Yeah, I did click on the tribe because they gave the thumbs up. They checked log and
Okay, sick.
discarded the tribe, which is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, Dueling Book just doing its thing. I'd probably rather hit the Graceful Chain. Well, I don't know. Tribe is actually a really, really good hit
Yeah.
while you've got the
I'm
Venus.
okay
So
either way.
yeah, they lose the Snatch
Yep.
Deal. That's pretty good. Yep, we get to thin the deck before Pot of Greed. Love it.
Yep. So yeah, obviously pot of greed. And then at this point in this hand, it might seem a little odd to just set the solemn when I don't really have like a super strong follow-up play, but because I'm so up in advantage and I have this knock to take care of any face downs, I didn't know I was playing its turbo, obviously, but even if they had like a Blade Knight or something, I'm not like in a super bad position. So I just go ahead and set the solemn to set up my next play.
Yeah, I think it makes even more sense if you don't know you're playing against Turbo. There have been so many times where I'm like, I'm not going to set the Solemn Judgment turn 1. What's the worst thing that could happen to me? And it's like triple reasoning, Cyberstein, Monster Gate. Well, sure, I guess that could happen to me, right?
Right.
So I like it. If you're up this much, just go ahead, play out the Solemn.
Yep. So it gets rid of a ball, no biggie.
Yeah, totally fine. No back row either.
Yep. So now it's time to bring out the Reaper.
Absolutely. Reaper's going hard here.
Yep.
Why no attack with the Shine Ball?
So because I don't have a battle trap and I don't have like a Zaborg or anything I want to do with the Shine Ball, I decided to just leave it just in case, like,
okay.
I mean, seeing this Serpent, I'm pretty sure this is turbo, but like in case they, I don't know, maybe they bring out something and attack over the ball and it causes a bunch of damage. So
sure.
I just tend to leave them in defense unless I really need to attack.
Sure.
Yeah.
Opponent's starting to get a nice little setup here, but...
Yeah, so I thought about this Solemn for a minute and I know they have Serpent in hand. They have another card that they haven't set, so I figure it's a monster. And I have such a good setup, I decide I'm just going to like kind of contract the field of play and just go ahead and Solemn.
Sure. I don't hate that. Normally I'm against like the early game just randomly Solemn a Pot or a Graceful just because, they're some of the best cards in the format. But yeah, context definitely matters here, and yeah, I don't hate this one at all.
For sure.
So the opponent does have a card destruction, but like that's fine with you at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, other than the knock, I don't really care about keeping any of these cards, so it's totally fine. And they're desperation digging with only 2 cards.
Absolutely. They do find another Sork. You find, oh my god. Just seeing the first 2. Oh my god.
This was really busted. First game, yeah.
Nice upstart Goblin opponent.
Yes.
Ring, they don't have a light. Yeah, they don't even have a light. Ring actually looks pretty good here. I guess from their point of view, because you are at 4,000, so if there's a way that they could get this Chaos Source returned online, like Sork over Spirit Reaper plus Ring would actually win, but I guess they're not going to get the Sork online. They're probably just going to have to ring the Spirit Reaper here, which, I mean, you're definitely okay with.
Yeah. So I'm just digging at this point for like, I don't know, maybe like an MST or just another monster. Keep drawing really well.
Yeah.
I decided
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I pitched a Spy to have a dark, and I don't really need it. I don't really need the Zaborg between the Saku and the Knock and the Minecon, so I just pitched that too.
I agree with that. And like Zaborg, I guess Zaborg, like you could tribute Spirit Reaper for it, blow up your Shine Ball and attack in, but it's just kind of unnecessary, right? Especially when you think Reaper could get an attack in here and just rip the last card out of your opponent's hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I guess you could almost guarantee that this is a Chaos monster at this point, right?
Yeah, because they didn't play any monster at all.
Yeah, as long as that wasn't a Regeki breakdown, I suppose. But yeah, we do lose the Reaper here, but opponents at 5,200. If they don't have any more back row, you've just got BLS going wild here.
Yeah.
Everybody knows on this channel, every time I talk about the opponent not having a light in the graveyard, what is the next draw?
Yes. And that's totally fine with me. Yeah. I just have so many answers to everything that it's it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. This game is way over.
Yeah.
Especially now, they don't have any back row, so BLS, I believe BLS is way online.
Yep.
You've kind of just got this wrapped up here. I guess actual damage-wise, you don't just yet, but...
Yeah, so I cycle the Grace to look for something to end the game, basically, and I get it with Zaborg, the second one.
Yeah. Second Zaborg will do it.
Yep.
Take out the Sork, knock your Serpent. Here comes Big Boy BLS. And we are on to game 2. That looks pretty impressive. Now, granted, you had full Trinity with a Solemn Judgment, but,
Yeah. Now, this is the game that has the best tribe of all time. And it also has there's the tribe. You'll see this is basically me being a little too conservative, and it backfires. So they start out pretty normal.
I have been at fault of being too conservative before.
Yeah, so looking at this hand, I could mind control and hope that it's like a deco or maybe a spy and get out one of my own spies, but I kind of just want to see what they do. Like I mentioned, I kind of like to hold mind control, so I just set the torrential and pass here.
Sure. A lot of times, this could be a Sangan or something set, maybe a Tsukuyomi. The opponent didn't see your mind control, so maybe they're not guaranteed thinking about that, but they did see the knock, and every deck plays knock almost. So
yeah, so I just wait to see what they do. They get out the spy. I decide to hold the torrential because I have this tribe, and I figure, I'll wait for them to summon something else and then use it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would just rip off the torrential here. I think it's I learned this from an AJT video a long time ago. You just hold it here. There's no reason, like you said, you've got tribe, you even have Kaiku that can deal with them, and the opponent, very well could just summon out another monster. Like Breaker looks pretty juicy here, right? The only thing that's stopping that and really punishing is exactly torrential, so.
Yep. But they play a little conservative too, which I think is smart. Just attack.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Here was another spot where I had a bunch of things I could do, and maybe it was a little too greedy. In retrospect, definitely was, but I decided to just try and attack with Kaiku. I'm thinking maybe the back row is like maybe a jar or something.
Sure. Unfortunately, it is a Mirror Force, so we lose the Kaiku, but you're not under like a ridiculous amount of pressure. You still have the torrential if something else wants to come down, so I don't think it's really that greedy. The card destruction is an interesting one.
Yeah. So I say, of course, I don't know that they have the heavy, which if you just go ahead, because this one goes pretty crazy. So they do heavy 1-for-1, which is a really good decision for them.
Yeah.
So then they souk. And this is where being a little too conservative and patient kind of backfired, but that happens.
Yeah.
So I take a bunch of damage.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess. If they card destruction here and they hit any other chaos monster, they do just win the game. So it's kind of interesting that they held.
Yeah, that's true.
I do understand it, but I don't know. I'm kind of greedy. I kind of want to see those 4 cards and try to win the game. I don't know. Maybe that's just wrong of me, but I see where the tribe is going now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Venus, I guess I could get it out, but the tribe is just begging to be used.
Yeah.
I know that, at this point I'm like, well, unless they have like no follow-up, I probably am going to game 3.
Yep. They do have quite the follow-up.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yep. Sometimes that's just how it be.
Yep.
I didn't really hate any of the plays you made there. It's just, sometimes the opponent just got a lot of value in like the plays that they made. I think they also played it well. So
definitely.
This worked out.
Openings, yeah. So opening this hand, I've got the Snatch, which is great, but I'm looking at a handful of monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, all right, I've got Tribe, I've got Breaker. Of course, we're going to get our Venus out first.
Absolutely.
So despite being, a really brown hand, I'm feeling all right about it.
Yeah, you got some brown, but you also have your vanilla, so.
That's right. So I want to make a comment here. People side Zumbira against this deck all the time.
Uh-huh.
And I personally don't think that's I don't think it's like the worst decision you can make, but I don't think it's a great side deck choice. Because now I can just sit here and wait on the Zumbira to tick down and then hit over it with Breaker, hit over it with Kaiku, hit over it with another Venus. Like, because, they have to get through my wall here. I don't really think this is a good side choice. If you want to know how to side against this deck, bring in Azura Priest and I'll cry.
I think and this is like one of the good parts about playing, some sort of like rogue strategy, something that people aren't super prepared for, is that they're not prepared for it.
Exactly.
If I was, paired against a fairy deck, I would probably think, this deck probably is aggressive, probably has Rhodas to go grab, Blade Knight, Sasuke, maybe something like that. And so that kind of leads your brain into, well, Zumbira is good against that. I bring this in against Warriors and the other aggressive decks. So I understand where people are going with this, but yeah, your deck is built in a way that it's less good, I suppose, than it would be against maybe some of the other versions of the Fairies deck.
Definitely. But yeah, just set the Spy. If he knocks it, I'm totally fine with that because I haven't seen any sets from him yet, which he does. And so now I don't have to worry about Spy.
The best feeling in the world.
Yes, especially because Spy is like one of the best answers to Kaiku that Turbo has.
Yeah. Here's the soul release.
Yeah, so obviously holding that, I'm thinking now I'm just going to wait to draw like a Zaborg or a Kaiku or something that I can get aggressive with. And if he starts going crazy with like Thunder Dragon, Graceful, stuff like that, I have the soul release to just take those cards out of the game.
Sure. You lose the other Shine Ball. Now Breaker is a very easy clear the back row attack.
Yep. So I get the Kaiku, but I figure probably one of those back rows are chainable, and I want to just start to clear the way, like you said. So bring out the Breaker.
Yep, I don't hate this at all. And let's see, which set do we go for? Yep, that is the exact one that I would have picked. Usually the Turbo players are firing off their Jar of Greeds, so if it's been sitting there for a while, it's either some sort of chainable in the form of Raigeki Break, which like you're also okay with here, or it's a Battle Trap, or I guess Ring of Destruction, which is, that's what it is, which is also okay here.
Yeah. Totally fine with trading that.
Yeah, that works out. Just pass the turn, makes sense. We do have the Jog into Upstart. Upstart draws Pot of Greed 100% of the time? No. Okay.
Yeah.
Zom gets in, and hits the Spirit Reaper. Unfortunately, they drew Snatch Steal, so they can out this if they want to, but...
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. So...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Given the information we know, this Heavy Storm looks really, really good. But also, if you don't know the information, this Torrential also looks pretty good. Because, like, your opponent has to summon something alongside of Zumbira at some point, right? And that's kind of the downside of Zumbira and the power of Torrential against the card.
Yeah, I mean, the Spies are gone, so I'm not worried about getting swarmed like last game. So I think I just pass here because... either the set is just like, maybe, I was thinking maybe it's a Night Assailant, maybe it's a Deco. If it's a Moth, they can get back Snatch, but I have Heavy Storm, so I don't really care. So I just pass.
Right. They do draw Thunder Dragon, which could be dangerous if they decide to get aggressive and summon out the Chaos Sorcerer here.
Right.
They do flip them off. It's fine. They get back the Snatch Steal. Tribute for Thunder Dragon. Okay. Yeah, big think.
Yeah.
We do opt to throw down the Torrential, okay.
Yeah, it's less that I'm threatened by the Thunder Dragon, more that like I want to use the Heavy. So I want to just clear this out.
Sure.
I don't want to like lose the TT for nothing.
Yeah. And like if they follow up with a Chaos Monster, you do still have the Snatch Steal. So
yeah, and the tribe.
Yeah. Pot of Greed, not bad. Oh, heavy Kaiku here goes hard.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's why I wanted to heavy, because now I know he's got Chaos online, so I want to start locking it out.
Mm-hmm. And you don't really care if like the Kaiku gets snatched. It's not like the end of the world. You still have answers to that.
Yeah. I mean, I have my own snatch, so I can always snatch back, or I can tribe. So
yeah,
I don't have any chaos in hand, so losing a couple cards in my graveyard is not a big deal.
Yep. I don't hate this. Get rid of the dark. Sork no longer online.
Yep.
And they draw another Sork. All right, that's very good for you.
Yep. So they snatch, totally fine. Take a little damage. And they set, which plays really well into my next turn.
Yep. I'm gonna, I imagine, yeah, flip the jog first, see what's up. Now we can snatch Zaborg. Yep, we do go into the Zaborg. Okay.
Yep.
Take out the Deco. Oh no, it put a dark in the graveyard. Whatever will you do about that?
I have no idea. There's nothing in my hand that could just make their graveyard completely useless.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. Goodbye, all of those good cards.
Yep, because now I know they have a Thunder Dragon. I'm sure they have at least one Chaos Monster, and I don't know this, but now their Moth is dead too.
Yeah. Pretty heads up, taking out all of the spells as well. You did touch on how Soul Release could weaken Moth in the deck profile, so good to see it doing some work here. Duo, I mean, Duo's Duo. It's not the ideal draw here, I guess, but whatever. They do trap Dust Shoot, but like, they're dead. We know that information. You don't know what the face down, but if Spy is gone, I'm attacking with Tribe.
Oh, yeah.
Here. Yeah, you attack with Tribe here 100%. Duo just for information, why not?
It's funny because I decided to summon...
Sandcan.
Yeah, so I realized after I played the Duo that I probably shouldn't have played the Duo because I knew they had a Thunder Dragon and probably a Chaos Monster. But because I was thinking, okay, they might... Even if, they might bring out Sork or BLS next turn, I want to have some way to follow up. And if I put the tribe out, I don't. Although, the other thing I was worried about was Night Assailant, because I hadn't seen that either.
Oh, Night Assailant. Yeah, you're right.
So,
okay.
I mean, they could go crazy with like a top deck and a like BLS Sork, but I figured, okay, I'll bring out Sandgan. That way, if it's Night Assailant, I still get an attack in. And if they go with Chaos next turn, I have tribe and probably game.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I said why not on the Duo, but yeah, setting up Chaos is definitely a downside there. But yeah, worrying about the Night Assailant is also real. I didn't even think about that. So yeah, all right, the opponent's going to have a shot here, but it's like you've got the Tribe, Knock is one of the cards in hand, which you just don't care about at all.
Yeah.
And so they need to not draw something amazing here, and they don't. They draw, a bluff. But Sork comes down. I imagine just gets rid of Zaborg. Yeah.
Yep.
And you also draw a very, very good, useful Trap Dust Shoot here.
Yes, very useful. So yeah, at this point, obviously I'm going to go for it. If they happen to have like Mirror Force or something, they do, but...
I think Mirror Force is gone, right? Yeah.
Oh, it was gone. I guess the only card I was maybe worried about was like Torrential or like a Saku, but...
Yeah, they sided in the Zombra, so they definitely could have sided in like a Saku or something like that. But yeah, I agree. You absolutely just go for it here. One of these is a Nobleman of Crossout. Looks like they may have sided in a control package as well.
Neat.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a really good match. Like I mentioned, I had a really good run. I was 6-1 in Swiss, and then with in top 16 beat AGT, and then lost in top 8. But I really wanted to showcase the Venus specifically with these replays. So I feel like just showing how you can, if you have it in your opening hand, or if you can get it out early, just how it can turn into Zaborg. and just so much advantage, and even just like taking time to draw other things.
Well, the second replay is against a person that I actually teamed with in War League this season.
Oh, okay.
And very, very good player in Pikatron, who I've had on the channel. I've talked to. Definitely a lot of respect for him. So, if you say it's a good replay, well, we'll go ahead and watch that one too.
And yeah, this is another really great match. He also made top 16, so congrats to him.
Yep. Pikatron, a very good player, though he was not on his usual Chaos Warrior list for this.
Yeah, I recognize that he plays Chaos Warrior a lot. I think I've seen a video with either with you or somebody else. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking that's what he was on. So I was surprised to see he was on Turbo.
Yep.
But yeah, we got
Pikatron. Can definitely play a bunch of different decks, but definitely known for the Chaos Warrior strategy.
Yeah. But yeah, turn 1 Venus, can't complain. Set the jar, set the MST to snipe something.
Sure. Pikatron's hand not looking amazing, but
yeah,
it is still early, and we do get the value out of the Thunder Dragons, so
yep.
Just a nice little T set, as Turbo does. We MST the jog, very nice. Okay. Duo is glued to your hands here.
It really is. So I was looking at this. I was, hoping to get a knock or something, but even without it, I'm thinking Thunder Dragons. But if this Kaiku can go through, then I can start locking out the graveyard. Because seeing that Jar Greed made me think it was Turbo. So I decided to take the risk here.
Sure. Now we do hit a Moth, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, summon out the Kaiku. I don't hate this. Like, as long as this isn't Spy, and you're thinking it's Turbo, then you're getting an attack in with the Kaiku.
Yep. And Venus can get over everything except for Spy, so get a nice 18.
Nice little chunk. We can get rid of that Deco, get rid of the Moth. Sounds great to me.
Yeah.
This is already... It's like... This is kind of one of the things that I like about Venus. You look at this game state and it just feels like you're so far ahead just because of the sheer number of cards, right? Because you're up 7 cards to 4. I guess it's going to be 5 for a full turn cycle. So you're up 2 cards. Now, the Shine Balls aren't doing a whole lot, but it just feels like you're so far ahead. And if you ever need an extra 1,000 damage, it's just here.
Yep. I mean, at the very least, like, those Shine Balls are 2 attacks that I can get through while I wait to draw something better.
Right. There's the Chaos Sorcerer. Man, this Kaiku is just like drawing your opponent's Chaos Sorcerers, and that's awesome.
Yes.
There is a Book of Moon, but there's no Dark in the graveyard just yet, unless Pikatron wants to crash Sangan, but like, sure. I guess it could attack over the Kaiku, right? Or the Knot could take out the Kaiku or something like that. And then you would eventually put it in there. But Kaiku number 2 says hi.
Exactly. And this is just another thing where I was talking about monsters that like demand an answer. Like the Kaiku is a floodgate by itself, just sitting there, which sometimes people forget. So he needs to get rid of it or make it inaccessible for him to make his play.
Right. And you're like totally fine seeing a Knock be used against a Kaiku. This just makes your Spies and Moth a little bit better later.
Yep.
This Chaos Sorcerer is kind of a problem here, I guess, since Pikatron did make the play of Crash into Venus, because you don't have an immediate answer, but like we mentioned before with the Shine Balls, they're just sitting there soaking up damage right now.
Yep.
Graceful Charity is a good way to find an answer.
Oh, yeah.
And
so I get...
Those are answers.
I get a lot. Yeah, I get a lot of answers here. So I think... And what I decided to do is toss the Reaper to have a Dark in the grave and the Mirror Force, because I can get rid of this Sork either with just the ring, or I can wait for him to summon again and I've got a Torrential.
Sure. It's kind of...
And I just...
It's kind of very not telegraphed that you have a Torrential as well, because you do have these 2 Shine Balls. So a lot of people would think, you're going to keep the Mirror Force here over the Torrential because you don't want to give up this value, but this value is free. So...
Yep. And I decided to keep Sangan in hand rather than set it, because at the very worst, if he doesn't do anything else, I can trigger it myself with the torrential.
Sure.
And because the shine balls are free, like that's not as bad of a play as it seems.
Sure. I don't hate.
So yeah, it gets rid of them all.
Yeah, I don't hate not activating the ring and just firing that off either, because like again, you don't care about the shine balls too much. You can get a little bit more information before you make that decision.
Yep.
Now there's the other agent.
Yeah, so at this point, I figure he's gonna just keep banishing, and I do want to get a light in my deck, or sorry, in my graveyard. So I decided to just spring the trap. I know that set could be Serpent, but it could also be something else. So I figure it's worth just getting the board clear.
Sure. Pikatron has not seen a knock from you, so like there's a chance the Serpent could not be set. Maybe could have set something else to protect the Serpent, to keep it around for, you know, potential discard traps or something in the future. I am not a Chaos Turbo aficionado, but that's a little bit of a thought process for why it may not be Serpent, I suppose. But yeah, the Torrential's kind of free here with the Sangan and the Mystic Shine Ball. And you know, like, if it's not Serpent, then you know your opponent's hand is just Thunder Dragon Serpent. If it is Serpent, you still know half of your opponent's hand is Thunder Dragon, so...
Exactly. And because he's tossed a knock already, and I've got such a juicy graveyard, I just grabbed the Moth.
And yeah, if he did have a Moth set, I guess if you attack into it, he's got a Book of Moon. I don't know. It's kind of interesting on the torrential play. I don't hate it, but obviously, you know, it could have worked out a little bit better had Pikatron set something other than the Sinister Serpent.
Oh yeah, if that was like a deco or something, but that's okay.
Yep. All right, Pot of Greed's a good draw.
Always a good draw.
We accept Judgment,
yes.
and I don't think there are any two better draws in the deck at this point, right? Those have got to be the best.
So, oh yeah. So here, I decide to go ahead and just summon Venus, because I'm guessing that set is like a battle trap, and because he's so, like, I know his hand is just Thunder Dragon Serpent, I figure he'll use it if it is a battle trap.
Yep, I like that. Protect the Kaiku. Pikatron has no idea this card's here. And then on the next turn, because like you can set Solemn Judgment this turn, then you've got Kaiku just attacking with Solemn Judgment backup, and that's just insane.
Yep, exactly.
In this spot. Just being a pro and drawing your Moth before the knock also, just good plays.
Yeah, I had some blessed draws for sure.
Oh, it made out a Book of Moon? Okay, that's fine. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and then set the Solemn, as you said, to set up for Kaiku next turn.
Like, I know Sinister Serpent can attack over Venus, but like, yes, please? I'll take that Book of Moon activation all day.
Yeah, and there's no way I'm going to protect this Venus. She's done what she needs to do.
Oh, yeah. Maybe you can be nice and smash and ground the Sinister Serpent to give a plus back to Pikatron here.
I'm not that nice.
Not making fun of Pikatron, of course. I've already said Pikatron's a great player. I just I'm very excited from your point of view to see that Book of Moon be used there. Oh
yeah, definitely. And this is an easy Solemn.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get rid of the Sword. There are no more darks. Yeah, no darks or lights in the graveyard now. Of course, we do have the Thunder Dragon in hand, but yeah, I think that's a very, very, very easy Solemn Judgment. You even get to gain 1,000 life points back here, presumably. Yep. Okay, there's the Raigeki break, so that can take out the Kaiku, but it's already done quite a bit of damage here.
Oh, yeah. And I figure this is either a bluff or a trap, but that's fine.
Yeah. And you've got Moth set up to just grab back Pot of Greed or Graceful Charity, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this looks great. Tribe doesn't really change a whole lot. You've got Smash and Ground and Snatch Steal and Ring of Destruction for it. Yeah, don't hate the Serpent set. Drawing another Solemn Judgment, also pro plays.
Also, yeah, so I'm digging for a way to pressure. I'm hoping for Zaborg, maybe a Chaos Mod, because I'm guessing this is just Sinister at this point.
Yeah, Zaborg actually just wins the game on the spot with the ring, so...
Yeah,
I like grabbing the Graceful Charity over Pot of Greed there, just to dig one card deeper.
Yeah. So I toss this Mapping's doing nothing. I don't feel like I need the Saku with the ring and the Solemn.
I think the Dust Tornado is potentially much more valuable than a Battle Trap here. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I decided to just get this out of the game. One less card I have to keep track of. One less thing that makes his discards better.
Sure. Don't hate it. Yep, I love setting everything here, just playing around Pikatron, drawing into a Delinquent Duo, taking out any of your answers. Heavy Storm's not gone, but you can just rip off a Judgment on that, and that's totally fine. Like, you're not worried about any big play, really. Yeah, that BLS is dead. Tribe is not doing much here. You can snatch it. You've got all kinds of answers.
Yep.
Gonna kill them off. Okay, maybe thinking about there's a potential Tsukuyomi or a Book of Moon or something somewhere in the deck. And gets a light into the graveyard. So I don't hate that.
Yeah. I decided to ring this, even though I don't necessarily have to, because I want to use ring before Solemn, and it just gets the game closer to ending.
Sure. But pretty much any monster here off the top is, yeah, a good one. Yeah.
Yep.
Good old Venus lethal. No, the ring is gone. Right. I was thinking you still had the ring, but you just used that. My bad. Just a little bit of a brain lapse there. But now Venus is pretty good. Knock, not good. Yeah, you've got the Dust Tornado. You've got Solemn Judgment. This game is over. We'll go to game 2.
Yep.
We didn't see any Trinity from the Chaos player there, but I mean, it felt like you were just ahead the entire time there. So
yeah. So this is an interesting hand. I've got no monsters go with the Zoborg, but I'm feeling like if I can draw into ideally Venus or even just like anything that could even go to the graveyard because I've got this premature, I'm in pretty good shape. So It's not the worst opening hand I've seen.
This Mind Control is going to get some good value too if you throw it off turn 1, just looking at the opponent's hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all fine choices.
Yes. So unfortunately, I don't draw a monster. I do throw off the Mind Control both because he has the Pot of Greed in the graveyard, and if that's Moth, I'm just going to get so far behind.
Yep.
And I'm also hoping that if it's not Moth, it's like a Spy, so I can get something out for my Zaborg.
Yep. And if it is Moth, you just get back the Mind Control, and now he can't set another Moth. Or we just do it again.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, I just decided to set a bunch, see what happens.
Another summon, as long as Torrential isn't sniped here, is great for you. Unfortunately the Torrential is sniped.
Yep.
Ooh, Sook? Ugh, that sucks for losing the Torrential. That would be such a good Torrential here.
Yep. But it happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's why we throw off the MST. Sometimes it hits the right card.
Yes. And yeah, at this point, I don't have a great start, but if I can't stop this loop, the game is guaranteed over, so I do have to Solemn.
I agree. I think that's a good play. And just one set from Pikatron, so a lot of monsters over here for Pikatron, but a lot of kind of nothing for you, so.
Yeah. So Dust Shoot's nice to see. Just at least tells me where I'm at. I know he's not really going to set because he knows I have the Mind Control, but this at least gives me, an idea of what's going on.
Yep. Book of Moon, a very good draw. Now we can set them off if we want to.
Yeah, I get rid of the Spy so that I don't get swarmed, but yeah, the book was probably his best draw because now the Solemn basically didn't do anything.
Right.
Well, I guess it did, but he's still getting so much advantage.
Summon out the Deco. Interesting.
Yeah, I think he's reading correctly that I don't have anything. And so he's just going to force me to, either waste a Battle Trap or just draw something because he's not going to set anything knowing I have the Mind Con.
My brain went immediately to Tribute Summon Thunder Dragon, but
oh, true.
I don't remember Pikatron's exact deck list. There may be another Tsukuyomi there. I think there was another Book of Moon in there, maybe. I'm not sure, but maybe there's a way to get value out of the Moth later.
The the deck lists were public, so I do know he has 2 book in the main. Yeah.
Okay. So that makes sense to keep them off around. You're not summoning monsters, so it's like you're not attacking over this anyway. Pikatron's at 8,000, so yeah, okay. I like that.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I do draw the duo again, but I just bluff it. And at this point, I figure unless I draw, a spy that can stick around, or maybe Venus next turn, it's probably over. He does finally bring out the Thunder Dragon, so I'm forced to Saku it.
Yeah. Get that out of here. We just take the 14, but being at 1100 with nothing going on, yeah, we draw heavy, but...
Yeah, so at this point, I just decided to get any info, see if maybe I can spot a side deck card.
Yeah, I like that. Throw the duo, throw the heavy, Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, set some bluffs.
Yeah, and then I just... I set 2 bluffs that are not fooling anybody, but you gotta at least try, see something else.
Yeah.
And then we go to game 3.
Yeah, I like the attacks from Pikatron, just going ahead and throwing out the second one to play around Sakuretsu, just get in there. If there's Mirror Force, there's Mirror Force, whatever.
Yeah, so really quick, my note with this replay was that this is what Bluetooth called the base department. So really quick story and shout out. So I played Bluetooth at GGP Seattle last year. Really nice guy.
Yeah.
And he did the stream of day 1 of this GFC. I of course wasn't watching the stream, so I didn't know about it until the next day. But he popped into this game 3 and I saw it. And I was like, oh, maybe he recognized me and I wanted to see how he's doing. But he was streaming this last 3rd game.
Yep.
And I encourage people, if they want to check out just his reaction to this game, is really funny. And he again, shout out to Bluetooth, really cool guy. He messaged me saying he remembered me from GGP Seattle and wished me luck. And I thought that was really cool. So
yeah, Bluetooth, a good guy for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, we've got another opening Venus hand and just, a great set of traps. And I've got the Soul Release in case things start getting crazy. So I'm really liking this as opposed to my last hand.
Okay.
I just set the jar.
Yeah, gotta get the reasoning on that, because I'm a big fan of, if we've got the Solemn Judgment, we just set the cards.
Yeah. My reasoning was I wanted to see if maybe I could bait like a breaker, because I've got this Venus, maybe like a Storm or MST. I kind of just wanted to see what he was going to do and also see what my next couple draws would be. So It might have been more correct to just set everything and play around duo, but I didn't think he was going to have Dust Shoot. So
sure. I am a simple person. I see Solemn Judgment, I set card.
Totally fair.
Just a T set. Okay. No mind control to get baited into this Sangan. That's good.
Yep. So I'm looking for a knock, maybe it's a Borg. I don't get it, but obviously going to attack first to see what I'm dealing with, and then all of this is going to get set.
Mm-hmm. Grab the Tsukuyomi, sure. Trap Dushu was a pretty good draw. Oh,
yeah. And then just set the farm. I even set the Moth, because even though I don't have anything for it, I think he might burn like a knock or something on it, and even better, he burns a Regeki Break on it.
Yeah, we take those.
Yeah.
It does get the Serpent back, but
yeah,
I guess we're going after something else here.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Serpent. I want to see what I'm working with. I know he has the Sook, which Sook can also be a problem for this deck.
Sure.
And unfortunately, his deck is all his hand is all monsters. And I have I have answers for days.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Sook looks to be... Yeah, the Moth is dead. The Night Assailant is whatever, I guess. I guess the Spy is kind of annoying, right?
Yeah, that's what I picked because I don't currently have an answer, and I don't want to let him draw to his answers. I like that a lot. And like, what's the Sook doing? Because like, you can just attack over the Night Assailant. The Moth is dead. Sure. I guess the Sook looks to be like a little bit less of a problem than I initially thought. So I like sending the Spy back here. Yeah.
Grab the Serpent back. Cool. Here comes Sook. Now you get to take care of it with a Mirror Force. That's pretty awesome. Now you don't even have to deal
Yeah,
with the Night Assailant right now. Ooh,
exactly. Yeah, this is a great draw. So I just attack with the Venus. I don't have any other battle traps, and he has the potential to go crazy with it, with graceful into chaos and heavy and things like that. So I decide that I'm just not going to worry about the extra 1,000.
sure.
I do think you could make the argument that I should be more aggressive in this spot. I just, in my mind, I had these answers already set that I wanted to protect, and I didn't want to like waste a solemn on, I don't know, an Azura or something, I guess.
hmm So I just want to do the math. If you attack with the Shine Balls there, Pikachu goes to 5,400. The next turn you flip up Spy, assuming nothing happened. You
Right.
have 4,000, 5,000, so it's not even like lethal on the next turn. So yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, if there is a Graceful Charity, you probably Solemn Judgment it, given that the rest of the hand is kind of garbage. But
True.
yeah, like if there's a Heavy Storm, well, if it's like Pot of Greed, you're not going to Solemn Pot of Greed. So what if it's like Pot of Greed into Graceful Charity and Heavy Storm, something like that? Yeah, the Doomsday scenario could play out, and like I said, you don't have the lethal attack on the next turn, so I think this is fine. Upstart's nice.
So yeah.
There's the Spy.
Yeah, I checked the log. He did shuffle, so
Yeah.
he just happened to draw well, and then I happened to draw better.
See, should have attacked with the Shine Balls. I don't think this actually matters here because this is 6,400. Of course it
Yep.
is.
And yeah, I turned the ball to attack just for good
Absolutely.
measure.
Absolutely. Got to
Yep.
play around Kuribo.
And yeah, this is not the only match throughout this tournament where I won turn 3, turn 4 because of something crazy like this. Because if you can get the Zaborg out, you've got your Venus out, even if you pair that like with something with Premature or Chaos Monster, it's crazy how much damage you can do just out of nowhere.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, great to see this deck actually doing some really powerful stuff. I don't know. It felt like at a lot of points here that even just with the Venus activation, you just felt like in such a commanding position. So happy to go over these replays. Happy to get your insights on the deck and go over the deck profile. And very happy to see, of course, you finishing in top 8 of a GFC tournament. That is not a small feat. But
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming on the channel and doing this with me. It was a whole lot of fun. Do you have anything else to say? Anything else to shout out before we sign off here?
I don't think so. Like I mentioned, shout outs to my buddy Alderoth for encouraging me to play the tournament. Shout outs to Grace for his amazing performance inspiration with his Venus deck. Shout out to Bluetooth for doing the stream, all the GOAT format staff. It was a great tournament, very fun. And thanks again, Kuhb, for having me on the channel. Big fan, and this has been a blast.
Absolutely. You're welcome on any time, of course. But that is going to be our video for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back with the next one.